let's get it.
All right. Thank you all for joining. We are here for our OneDrive Customer Office Hours for September 2025. We appreciate you all working with us as we move the date just this once. Before we get started, kind of a quick reminder on our code of conduct. As always, this meeting is going to be recorded. We love the amount of interaction and engagement we get from all of you. It's one of our favorite meetings of the month. Of course, let's make sure we keep this respectful, keep it a fun environment. We've got a great session today. I will be taking us through the OneDrive roadmap and a couple of upcoming events, and then I'm going to hand it off to Trent for our topic of the month, talking about archive and unlicensed users and a lot of great topics there. As always, we'll be keeping an eye on the chat, and we'll have kind of dedicated time for Q&A at the end. So I'm going to flash the roadmap slide here for you very briefly. Lots of amazing features that have come out in the last couple of months, more coming up ahead. The big thing, I think, for all of you, if you're interested in the future of OneDrive, is we are 14 days out from the Copilot and OneDrive event. If you've seen us the last couple of years, this is our kind of big news event. Talk about all of the amazing features that are coming up in the next couple of months. We've got a bunch of great speakers, a bunch of great topics, demos, all of that ready for you. We're really excited for this one. You can register today at the link there, aka.ms/OneDrive/event, or OneDrive event, no extra slash. I'll drop a link to the chat for that, into the chat for that in just a moment. Definitely make sure you sign up if you're interested. It'll be broadcast live, and we're really excited to see you all there. If you can't make that, you can at least make sure you join Microsoft Ignite. That'll be November 18th to the 21st. That'll be in San Francisco. If you're able to join, you can register at the link there below. We'll have more announcements there as well. We're just kind of headed into that fall tech announcement season, which is always a great time. So I'll pass it over now to Trent. Trent, feel free to take control, and he'll walk us through a bunch of the changes we're making around archiving and licensing and lots of great features. So thank you all for joining.
Thanks, Stephen. Hey, folks, good to see you all again. Today I'm going to talk, as Stephen mentioned, about M365 Archive, some changes there, and also the OneDrive license enforcement effort that's been ongoing. Okay, so we will start with file level archive. For those of you who've been following the Microsoft 365 archive journey, you should know that file level archive has been our kind of second wave, our big evolution of the archive product. This and will empower admins and users to archive files rather than whole site collections. And when you archive those files, you'll get the whole file will go to archive, and the file itself will come back from archive in its entirety. This means you can have much more granular archiving capabilities than the whole site collection, which is available today. So although I can't share too much of the details of file level archive, I wanted to give you folks a sneak peek of that functionality, just kind of a verbal overview and what you see on the screen here. So this will allow, as I mentioned, end users and admins. So anybody with edit access to a file will be able to archive that file. And then admins will eventually be able to deploy IT admins, will be able to deploy tenant level policies or site level policies to automatically archive files. This will have the same reduction in storage costs for admins that go over their storage limit today, 75% savings in storage costs compared to hot storage, the exact same model as Site Archive. And then archive files will be trimmed from Copilot to improve Copilot's grounding data. This is really critical. It's actually one of the biggest reasons that customers today are adopting archive at scale, to help make sure that old content that is not active or actively maintained is not being something that Copilot is trained on to serve to the end users. So if you want to make sure Copilot is streamlined for the modern age, make sure it's only looking at your modern documents, and archive is a great way to do that. As I mentioned, eventually admins will be able to deploy automated policies based on the file's last access date. Notice I said last access date, not last modified date. We've been working for, to be honest, years trying to get a reliable last access date of all files in our service. You know that is trillions of files, so it is a huge undertaking from a technical perspective for Microsoft. But we are working on policies that admins can use to leverage that last access date to determine which files should go into archive. So far, for file level archive, we're in a small private preview that unfortunately is closed. But we are aiming for a public preview in March. And I hope all of you can help test, because we've gotten really fantastic reception from customers. The biggest ask from the preview so far is just to make it a public preview and make it GA as soon as we can. So I'm excited to get that in your hands soon. March 2026 will be the date for that. Moving on beyond file level archive, there is site archive and file level archive are now available in search. This is actually already I see questions that I'm answering as I speak. This is already in production today, archive search. There's 2 places where you can go and view this. And this is going to be in the OneDrive search and the SharePoint search. And here are the screenshots for exactly that. In OneDrive, you can click on this new archived pill, and you will also see the archived files have this little archive icon with the second bubble I called out there in red. This just helps you know exactly which files are archived. Any end user can run this archive search whenever they want to within the OneDrive experience. And of course, this will be the same search capability that you have today for active content. So it searches the contents, not just the metadata of the files. And then, of course, it's also permission trimmed. So only results that you had access to when they went into the archive will you be able to see. If that permission has been removed, you will not be able to see that archived content. So same permission trimming we have today. And likewise, this is the SharePoint search experience. It's a little bit hard to see this, which is why I wanted to call it out here. We were working on improving documentation on this as well, so you can share with other admins and end users soon. But for SharePoint search, the archive capability is hidden under the file type filter to get your archived files there again. When file level archive rolls out, you'll be able, or end users will be able to reactivate those files right there from the search experience. Or site archive files still require the whole site to be reactivated by the IT admin. Okay, so that actually covers my whole overview of M365 Archive. Talked about the file level, talked about archive search, which again is available today in production. I'll take some quick questions on the M365 Archive side before I jump into unlicensed OneDrive accounts. So I'll time box the questions, but John, please start.
Yes. So we're talking about archiving individual files, and we know how we can archive an entire site. Is there the ability to archive a library at a time? That would be valuable, I think, if maybe I didn't hear that as a capability.
It's a fantastic question. The short answer is no. We are not building a library or a folder level archive flag. What I mean by that is today for site archive and what we have for file archive, there's actually a new property on that site or file that says this thing is archived. That building that capability is the majority of the technical difficulty with building this feature. So if we had to build the same thing for document libraries and folders, it would delay the release significantly. So we aren't building document library or folder level archive, but we are looking at building folder level archive actions, which means that you'll be able as end users to select a whole folder and click archive, and it will go and recursively archive all the files within that folder. We want to give you the bulk archiving capability, but we don't plan on building a document library level archive feature, because then if I reactivated one file in the document library, it would put you in an odd state. You'd be like an archive library except for this one file. So we wanted to keep it simple. Site, file, and we'll give you bulk actions.
Hey Trent, nice to meet you. And I have a question about the scope of file level archiving. Will we have an option to archive SharePoint pages or other types of SharePoint items like lists or something like that?
Also a great question. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to archive lists. We are looking at pages, but it's not our top priority right now. But I do know that there are teams within SharePoint that are looking at the ability to manage the life cycle of pages better. So I would say keep your ear to the ground on the page lifecycle work.
Next question, I believe, is Rebecca.
Good day. So is this for SharePoint also, or is it just for OneDrive?
Actually, sorry, if I didn't say it before, then let me clarify. Thank you for asking that question. This is right now just for SharePoint. We do plan to roll this out to OneDrive in the future, especially so that users in OneDrive get the capabilities like the Copilot trimming, because we know that that's critical for making sure that the grounding data is useful, not just in SharePoint, but also in OneDrive. So we do plan to roll to OneDrive eventually, but right now it's only for SharePoint.
And your timeline is sometime next year?
Yes, we're going to public preview in March. We're hoping to do a fast GA after that public preview because we have very few feature additions between public preview and GA. So it's more around making sure it's stable and scalable and bug-free. But yes, next year is definitely the timeline for File Lab Archive.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Joshua, I think you're next.
Very excited about this new capability. A couple questions. Will archive be part of the Microsoft Graph API so we can programmatically archive things?
Yes, it will be. Site Archive is already part of Microsoft Graph, so you're welcome to go and play with that today. It's available in Graph APIs and in PowerShell for SharePoint admins. And yes, we do plan on building the same for File Lab Archive, at least the API, the Graph API, not the PowerShell. And that will be available starting GA, maybe even public preview.
Awesome. And then will you have the same action to restore everything in a folder, similar to the action that ran recursively to archive it?
Yes, we will.
Okay. And then last one, there can be use cases where having archived content in Copilot could be desirable. Is that going to be an option?
We are looking at that. Right now, the big we've heard that feedback before. It's funny, it's a very polarizing feature request. Some people want, definitely not in Copilot, people do want in Copilot. So we're looking at bringing a AI-powered approach to being able to look at archived content. But right now, the default is definitely not in Copilot.
Thank you.
Yep.
Cool. Before we move on, I'll pass a question from Bruno in the chat. Is it possible to select multiple files and archive them with a single click?
Yes, it is. End users can bulk archive as many as they'd like and use the folder level feature once it comes out.
Awesome. All right. I think that's all the questions from the chat for the moment. So feel free to keep going, Trent.
Awesome. I'll jump into unlicensed OneDrive accounts now. And then if there's any more questions about archive, I'm sure we'll have time at the end as well. Okay. So, sorry. Here we go. Unlicensed OneDrive enforcement. I think I've talked to this group before about the enforcement. So this should be mostly a recap of that work and hopefully clarifying some of the functionality. The first is that we are enforcing unlicensed accounts, which means that if you have a OneDrive account that the user associated with the account does not have a license, or if there's no longer a user on that account at all because they have left the company, then we are going to start putting those accounts into archive on the 93rd day. And before that, to kind of ease you into the archive, you're going to be it's going to be put into read-only mode on the 60th unlicensed day. So this will apply to all unlicensed accounts. But we know a lot of companies have unlicensed accounts mainly from when people leave the company. So identities no longer exist. And as I call out in that third bullet point there, we still honor all the retention settings, retention policies, and holds that define the duration that that content is kept. And I'll say that again. The retention settings for OneDrive, retention policies, and any legal or e-discovery holds, those dictate the timeline that OneDrive accounts will be kept. And then the enforcement that we're doing now just dictates whether the account is in the archive state. So for example, a customer that has a retention policy or retention setting for 5 years, that is totally fine. We will still honor that whether those are applied before or after the accounts are archived. But on the 93rd unlicensed day, within those 5 years, the account will be put into archive mode. So the enforcement will happen regardless of your settings and policies, but we will still honor all your retention settings and policies that dictate the timeline they are kept for, same as today. Archived accounts must be reactivated again to regain full access, which means you have to, just like Site Archive, go and have an admin manually or use PowerShell to reactivate the account. That requires billing must be enabled in order to pay for the reactivation. There's also a reactivation fee, and the reactivation will only last for 30 days. So it's a short-term fix to regain access to the content again. I highly suggest you move collaborative content away from unlicensed OneDrive accounts into a SharePoint site or a licensed OneDrive account. And then last thing here is that eDiscovery will still work the same as it does today. It can search across, it can find, and it can export archived content. There's no additional fee, and there's no, it works regardless of whether billing has been enabled or not. The only change to eDiscovery is that it might be slightly slower to export that content because we have to go fetch it from the cold storage if it's been archived when you export. I'm going to keep going through the next slides, and then we can get questions at the end. So how to prepare? This is a big question we get all the time. The biggest thing would be to continue to review your admin report. This is available in the SharePoint Admin Center. You can also just type in aka.ms/unlicensed accounts, and it will take you right to the detailed report that has the list of all your unlicensed accounts and tells you all about them, whether they're archived, who owns those accounts, why they're unlicensed, why they are being kept, whether it's retention policies or a eDiscovery hold. So that is the report you should use, and it should be your best friend for understanding how this will impact your tenant when it hits. I also recommend people review their retention settings and policies. Since when you enable billing, there will be, or if you decide to enable billing, there will be a monthly storage cost for all the unlicensed archived accounts. And that can increase the cost of retaining this content. So if you want to reduce that as much as possible, I suggest you review retention settings and policies to make sure you're only keeping data that needs to be kept. And the last thing I'd say is review the policy or the process maybe you have for when users leave your company. We've had many big companies decide to change they call it their leavers process. So when a user leaves, they are now deciding, instead of just leaving content in their account, they are having their managers take content and put it into a shared SharePoint site or in their manager's OneDrive account. Generally speaking, I would just recommend you don't leave your collaborative content in the unlicensed account, because it will likely require you to reactivate later if someone wants to regain access. Here is a quick screenshot of the report that the aka.ms link takes you to. It is in the SharePoint Admin Center, and this one only has one row in the list there, as you can see. But this would be the UI you could use to manage and view all of your unlicensed accounts. This includes deleting them directly if there's nothing blocking it, like a retention policy or a hold, and also lets you see accounts that are unlicensed but not even enforced yet because it hasn't reached the 60 or 93rd day yet. So this is a great place to monitor all your unlicensed accounts. And then last, I want to talk about the timeline a little bit. I know it says timeline, but it's more like the phases, so you can be prepared for the rollout in terms of how we are going about this enforcement from 0 to 100. The first stage is read-only. We are already in this read-only enforcement. We have already put tens of millions of unlicensed accounts into the read-only mode. We are slowly transitioning to the archive stage, which will begin soon. And this means that any account that has been in the read-only mode for at least 33 days will start getting archived once we hit the archive phase. But again, that archive stage will take a long time for us to roll out. So please be monitoring your accounts reports to ensure there's no surprises. That is the biggest piece of feedback we hear from admins, is that they didn't monitor the report closely enough, and there were some accounts that got enforced that they were surprised to see. So please go review that and make sure there's no surprises. And then last is the billing. We will start rolling out the billing stage soon after archive. And as always, billing will only apply to accounts that have been archived because of they are licensed. So there's been a ton of questions in the chat. So I will start going through those. This is my last slide on licensed OneDrive enforcement. I guess, why don't we start with hands, and I can look at the chat as well.
Yeah, looks like Nikolai is up first.
Hey guys. Hey Trent, this is Nikolai from Coca-Cola. I just have a quick question on this. So I've seen already some accounts being switched into read-only in our tenant.
Okay.
And this prevents, some people giving them access, giving other people access that needed to maybe move out the data. So the correct way of handling this in this time right now would be to remove the read-only, grant the access, and then will they go back into read-only again? Will this enforcement go back and take effect again after we do this?
It's a great question. I'm going to clarify just so everyone can understand exactly what you're talking about here. So when we enforce that you are in read-only mode on the 60th unlicensed day, or no earlier than the 60th, as this enforcement is kind of rolling at the moment, that read-only mode is something that the IT admins can go and change. You can use PowerShell, and you can bring it back to read-write mode so that people can, again, edit that container. We do not automatically put you back into read-only mode. That's something you're welcome to do. But on the 93rd unlicensed day, or at least when we start rolling out archive, and no earlier than 33 days after it's been put into read-only, it will be put into archive. So removing the read-only lock is a temporary fix. You're welcome to do it, but you should be aware that it is a temporary solution. The account is still in the enforcement pipeline.
And thank you. And at some point, for accounts that are unlicensed after the later period, this will not be an option at all, correct? It should go out. We'll just go into an archive mode.
No, even after enforcement is fully rolled out, so we're completely in steady state mode, you will still be able to remove the read-only lock between the 60th and 93rd unlicensed day. So that 33-day window, you're welcome to remove the lock. It's up to you, the IT admin. But again, by the time it hits that 93rd day, the whole thing will go into archive. So you will always be able to buy yourself the 33 days of edit activity again. You're welcome to. The point of the read-only mode is to kind of add a little bit of friction so you're not surprised when it goes into archive mode on that 93rd day.
Oh, understood. Thank you very much. And just one last thing for the second stage here that we're looking on the slide for archive. I believe the dates for that would match what's in the documentation. Any guidance on maybe a more specific time, like a month or a day?
It's a really great question, and this is the question I was preparing for today. So let me give my little spiel there on the timelines. We are updating the documentation to remove those finished by dates because we are going to take a little bit longer than we hoped for this. The reason why is we wanted to go as slow as it takes for admins to have time to adapt. So not as slow as it takes. We're slowing down a little bit to give time for admins to adapt to this change. We've heard that the enforcement is surprising some people still, and so we're going very slowly to make sure it's not an abrupt change for people. So we are no longer going to be following those dates. We have removed the dates from documentation. You should see that reflect in the next few days. But you should be prepared at any time for it to hit. I will also say that if you would like your tenant to be enforced now, early, that is something that we can do. And so you are welcome to email me. And I think you have my email from this exact call now. You are welcome to email me if you would like to be enforced now, and we can enforce your tenant in the first wave of these stages. So if you are eager to get enforced so you can get it over with, that's something we can accommodate. But in terms of the dates, we're no longer following them super closely.
Just to clarify on that one, if I understood correctly. So you are going to remove the dates that are currently in the documentation, and by dates we're talking about the January 2nd, 2026 for the later accounts of the enforcement, and the November 30, 2025, or whatever these dates are? Or are you talking about for the timeline for the accounts being unlicensed before and after?
I'm talking about the timeline for the accounts being unlicensed before and after. I think it was July of this year. So there was a date for September 26th and October 29th. 9th. Thank you. And those are the dates we were removing. We are going a little bit slower than we expected, so we will not hit those dates perfectly, but we are still moving as fast as we can but as slow as we need to accommodate admins.
So does that mean that we should expect this to happen around the dates that are going to be removed, or slightly later than that? And if so, is there going to be any indication that maybe this is starting? Because when I go back to the business, I have to tell them like, when are we actually expecting this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Since enforcement is ongoing, it could happen at any time. The tenants are kind of randomized from our rollout view. So I can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen to your tenant. As I mentioned, archive is happening soon. In fact, I think we hit the go button today or yesterday. So it's happening very soon. And so it's possible that your tenant could start getting enforced with the archive stage as early as today. So I unfortunately can't give you an exact day. If you would like a very precise time, within a week or a week timeline, you're welcome to reach out to me and we can start enforcing you soon. And you can be in those earlier waves, and that way you can give your leadership an exact timeline, a very precise one. But unfortunately, I can't give a more broad answer than that if you're in the general public getting enforced.
So the only way to control it essentially would maybe be to opt in the early enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next question is Pierre.
Yes. Hi. Hi, everyone. Just a quick question regarding, let's say, and I believe maybe it's being asked by Tony as well, for accounts that are unlicensed but not deleted in Enter ID. So after 93 days, I could see that, yes, that OneDrive is going to be archived, but how long will it actually stay archived if, let's say, the account doesn't get, deleted for several months after?
So that one, yes, that's a fantastic question. So you're saying that the identity still exists, and for some reason there's no longer a license there. So yes, on the 93rd unlicensed day, it will get archived. Also, if billing is not enabled, then that account will get archived and begin the deletion process on that same 93rd day. What I mean by that deletion process is it will first look at the retention period that has been set for OneDrive. It will honor that to its full extent. So whether that's 30 days or 7 years, it will wait that amount of time. And then it will look at the retention policies and legal holds and wait till those expire. And then it will go into the recycle bin. So it will start that deletion process on the 93rd unlicensed day if the account, if the user still exists but is not licensed and billing is not enabled. If billing is enabled, then that account will just stay in the archive state indefinitely.
Okay, so yeah, in my case, it wouldn't be. Billing would not be enabled. So on day 93, you get archived, but essentially deleted as well. So now, and as such, if I have a retention period of 365 days, my counter starts on that date.
Correct.
So 365 days at that 93 day, and I could still use eDiscovery to basically do content search to get content back.
That is correct.
Without additional fees, as your initial slide just indicated.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Trent, there's a question from Mike in the chat. If OneDrive is unlicensed for an account, but there's a litigation hold placed on the account for 7 years, how does that get handled with the new policy?
It will be exactly that falls under the holds policy, the holds approach, which means that the account will be again archived on the 93rd unlicensed day, and then it will be kept for the full 7 years of that litigation policy. Majority of that hold time will be in the archive state, obviously, and then it will get put in the recycle bin. So it will still fully honor that litigation hold.
Perfect. Tony, I think I saw your hand just go up.
Yeah, on the same topic. So you mentioned that litigation hold is held. That's great. But in our case, most often litigation hold occurs after someone leaves. So we then need to go find these things and go put litigation holds on the accounts, which are probably routinely cleaned up from licensing. So what happens then? So I assume then I need to put a license back on it for OneDrive. Then I can put it on legal hold. Then I can take off the license. I mean, you see the dilemma that we run into here.
Yeah, it's a great question, Tony. So you're able to apply a litigation hold to the account even if it's unlicensed. The license enforcement effort does not block or change the way you're allowed to add holds. So you can add a hold before or after it's archived, doesn't matter. And then you should have plenty of time to add the litigation hold to the account before it starts the deletion process, because it's the exact same process and timeline you have today. Just it might be in the archive mode at some point in that process. So you should have time to apply the hold. It should be applicable even after the account is archived, and that should work just fine for you.
Right. And further on with that, is there a way to index or identify what's in the archive currently that's being deleted? Because our litigation holds could come years later, and they need us to go looking everywhere for whatever could still be around, is kind of the drill. So, I don't know if you've worked with legal system, but they don't generally run that quickly. So, 90 days is actually very tight. So we're just trying to figure out how to handle that.
I don't fully understand your ask, but whatever you do today to find that content, you should be able to do while it's in the archive mode. In the same timeline, obviously. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Any other questions for Trent? Pierre, your hand's up. So I guess you get to go.
Yeah, this may be minor, but just curious, what's the experience that another licensed user would see in terms of accessing a shared file from a OneDrive, an archive OneDrive from a colleague?
That's a fantastic question. It will be very similar to the archived site experience. So there'll be, if they, let's say they had a link to a file that was on an archived OneDrive account, they will be shown a landing page instead that says, "Hey, sorry, this file or this site has been archived. Please contact your admin to reactivate the account." You also, if you're aware of M365 archives features, there is a feature that allows you to add a link for all archived sites, and that link will then appear as a button on the landing page for an archived site, and you can redirect that user to wherever you like. So if you'd like to bounce them to a informatory or a wiki around to inform them about what's going on, or we've heard some admins create power apps to allow users to reactivate accounts or sites themselves. That's something you can bounce them to as well. So it's something you can use that if you want to kind of give more information to your end users at that landing page.
Thank you.
Yep.
Nikolai.
Just one final thing, I'm sorry, about the report that we're seeing for OneDrive unlicensed accounts. I presume this is going to pertain and is a permanent addition that we're going to see after the enforcement and as we go on in the future. It's not just for this activity right now.
You're asking if this enforcement will be indefinite?
No, the report, actually, just the report that we're seeing under the admin console, we will be able to keep on seeing it and using it now. Presume you guys will be improving and supporting that after the enforcement and so forth.
Yes, sorry, the report definitely, that has no plans of ever leaving. That is the way you'll be monitoring your unlicensed accounts now and in that steady state once enforcement has fully rolled out, for sure. That's will always be there for you.
All right, thanks.
All right. Almir, I believe you're next.
Hi. My users are creating lots of OneDrive shortcuts from a different SharePoint sites where we have a document libraries. If somebody archives the file in a folder or library which is being synchronized by other user in their OneDrive shortcut, once the file is archived, is that gonna anything happen on a user who has a shortcut, or it's not going to be synchronized at all?
When you say synchronized, do you mean OneDrive sync to a device?
Yeah, like a OneDrive shortcut. There's option where they want to, like a library, or they do a whole library as a OneDrive shortcut, or they do specific folder as a OneDrive shortcut, so that it shows up in their specific OneDrive, pointing to that location. So if somebody archives the file from that folder or from that synchronized location, what's going to happen to the user who has that OneDrive shortcut pointing to that folder?
The shortcut should still work. You'll still be able to use that shortcut in your OneDrive account. The file will appear archived if you view it. Let's say you're on the OneDrive web and you would have viewed that shortcut. You should still be able to see the archived file within its shortcut. So that will all work. If you're talking about syncing it to your machine, it will sync, and we are working on making the sync experience a good one for archived files.
Is there a way to say if the file is synchronized or if the file is archived, do not synchronize to the user machines? User has to use like a web view to access these archived folders. Because my issue is that I have like a libraries which have like, thousands and thousands of files, and user needs like one or two files, and they create a shortcut, they synchronize the entire library, and they are, waiting for like tons of files to be synchronized where they just need like, a few files. But if I archive like, all these old files they don't need access to, and when they, create a synchronization or OneDrive shortcut, they're going to only, pull down the files that they need.
It's a really great question, and I'll definitely take a note and add this as an ask. The reason why we haven't built this as the default functionality is because we want to make sure that no users ever feel like they've lost content. So our big fear with archiving is that an end user might feel like their content had just disappeared on them. And so we don't want them to be, let's say, in their synced library, only see 100 files when they have 1,000, but most of them are archived. So that's not going to be the default functionality, but I'll take a note as something that we can explore in the future if admins want to opt into that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we go to hands, Trent, there's a question, chat, I want to double check with you from Kathy. In the SharePoint Admin Center where unlicensed OneDrive reports show up, there's a mention of dates that are no longer accurate. I know you'd mentioned the public documentation was being updated. Is the verbiage in Admin Center also being updated?
The verbiage is, the only verbiage I'm aware of in the SharePoint Admin Center talks about the start date of enforcement, which is that accurate? I don't think we have in there the end date, but I'll go double check later, and if we do, I'll update those as well. But yes, the public documentation will be updated quite soon.
Cool. Yeah, and there's a screenshot Kathy put in the chat as well, if that's helpful when you take a look later.
I'll double check that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Mikal, I believe you are next.
Hello, everyone. I have also a question to archiving. What will be the level of permission for the user to be able to archive the files, and will we be able to limit the users that can archive the files?
The permission that we have today, at least in the private preview, is going to be edit rights. So any user who can edit the file can archive that file. Our thinking is that if the user has the ability to, for example, delete the file, which I guess it's a different SharePoint permission, but it's within the members group of most SharePoint sites, then they might as well be able to archive the file. It's a less invasive action. So that's what we have today. We are looking at making that something that's more customizable, but as of now, it's just edit. It is edit for any SharePoint site that has the feature enabled. IT admins will definitely be able to scope the sites that are enabled for file of archive.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions specifically for Trent? Otherwise, I think we can open up to OneDrive questions all up if folks still have them.
I raised it in the chat, but I'm going to ask it. So, for the sake of saving time, this statement in the documentation with the date that says checking earlier of the reports can result in an incomplete status snapshot. Okay, I see your answer. So that's not true. So we should. What I'm taking out is we should act on it as soon as possible, and even now, and disregard all those.
Yes. So apologies for the randomization, but yes, those dates, the kind of end date of that enforcement is no longer true there. So I'm thinking about public documentation. It will be there by the end of the week, I hope. And then the call to action would be to be prepared for archive anytime, because the enforcement could hit your tenant. And again, if you'd like to be enforced early, feel free to email me and we can make that happen for you.
John has an interesting. Yeah.
Okay. John got a question asking about the 300K soft limit. Guy, I think this, I know we usually talk about this one, I feel like every office hours, but do you want to kind of provide an update on the soft limit?
Yeah, happy to. I see Kayla's also on the call, but I can start and then Kayla, you can add anything else. Yes, so we're still actively working on it. Stay tuned for more information soon. But if you're interested in potentially trying things out early, reach out to Kayla and I. Kayla, is there anything else you would want to add more specifically?
No, I think you covered it. Definitely feel free to reach out to myself or Gaia if you want. So yeah.
Next up, Nicole.
So hello again. I have the question about the SharePoint alerts that are going to be depreciated soon. Are there any plans to make the SharePoint rules more like SharePoint alerts functionality? Because right now they are valid only for the whole library. There's no possibility to set a rule for a single file, for example, like it was in alerts, and or in the description of the change, there is written that there will be some Power Automate templates shipped to help with the transition. And yeah, is there any progress in that area if the rules won't be better, let's say?
I don't see Lincoln on the call. I'll put out an open question for the OneDrive team. If anyone here is an expert on the SharePoint alert side, I'm going to take silence as a no. So McCall, if you want to drop your question to me, either over email or in Teams, I'll forward it along to the right folks and see if we can get you an answer.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Looks like next up is David.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if there's an update on the date for when the sync button will be retired from SharePoint sites.
We don't have an exact date yet. As we shared before, we do plan to give ample notice before it is removed. In the last month or two, you should have seen that the sync button got demoted in the web. Yep. So it's in the overflow. But we still think there are some gaps that we need to fill before we completely remove it.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Thomas.
Yeah, just a quick question in regards to the archiving for SharePoint Online. If archiving is not enabled on the tenant, will users be able to use the archive option, or do we have to enable it on the tenant first?
So our plan for public preview in GA is that it has to be enabled first on the tenant. So you have to enable archiving at the tenant level, and then you can decide which sites should get it. Or I think so you can decide which sites shouldn't get file level archive. So it will be opt out once you enable it for the tenant.
Okay, so if we stay opt out, that option will not become available for any users within our tenant.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
That is the short term. That is the current thinking, is that it must be opt in overall.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right. And next up is Joshua Morden.
Yes, hi. So question on the unlicensed OneDrive accounts. I know there's a way we can download a report. I can see for the accounts that are unlicensed, but is there a way to pull a report on files that may still be like when recently modified that might have been shared by a former employee?
Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to get that exact report by itself. I think there are reports that give you file level activity. And there are, obviously, you can download our report about unlicensed accounts. You might have to do some cross-referencing yourself. But unfortunately, there's no single report.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Kevin, you're next.
Hey, guys. I have a question on the long file path name issue. It seems like when a user gets that error initially, we go and fix that file path from the SharePoint, and we run the OneDrive sync again, they keep getting the same message. It seems like there's some kind of a cache that doesn't allow it, and we end up resetting the OneDrive, unlinking, and all that process. Is there an easier way to troubleshoot, even though the file path has been fixed from the SharePoint? The OneDrive sync still has issue with it.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the chat on one of the other comments, we're working on some improvements to MaxPath because we know the current handling is less than ideal. So it'd be great if you could reach out to me by email because I'd love to connect you to the folks on the team working on that to further investigate and kind of validate the work we're doing with your scenario.
And then one quick follow-up question on that. Does it eventually self-resolve? Like, is there a delay in maybe what you're seeing with the breed name propagation, or has that not been your experience?
Other questions?
Related to that previous, I could say our experience in our company that it required that you restart manually OneDrive client many times until it will eventually start cleaning. Because on the first start, it just pulled a couple of changes. So sometimes could be just a handful or it's up to 500 changes. And then subsequent restart, shutting down and starting will eventually clean all those long file names, long paths, and everything else that was removed, finally remove them and start working properly.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Folks have other questions? We've got about 10 minutes left. Okay, I think we can... Oh, never mind. Joshua has preempted me. Go ahead, Joshua.
As part of the process to offboard a user, there is a helpful report that shows all of the external sharing, but we can't dynamically create that or pull that from the Graph API. Is that something that we might see in the updates coming soon?
Are you talking about the sharing, the site sharing report, or are you talking about the? Okay,
so the site sharing report. So like the ability to have that sent to the manager, created and sent to the manager, or just to pull that information to be able to then take actions on that would be really helpful.
Without going too deep, because I don't remember how much of it has been fully announced or not, the transfer ownership changes that I kind of hinted at in the chat, the demo will show as part of the OneDrive event does show a way that doesn't show the full set of information that you see in the sharing report, but does give information to users that I think is quite helpful. The future of the site sharing report as far as like accessing that information is really the Microsoft Graph Data Connect data set that you can query and pull from. So we're not investing further in site sharing reports, but are investing in Graph Data Connect.
Yeah, the only concern there is it puts a lot more effort on the IT side versus automation for the manager.
Yeah, and that's totally fair feedback. Cool. Tony, you're up.
Yep, different topic than before. So it seems as though security is becoming more and more strict. MFA is becoming the norm, not the exception. And I've seen some challenges with OneDrive, the sync tool, when it comes to multi-factor. Didn't know if you guys are focused on that at all, because that's going to be a killer if the OneDrive sync tool just sort of dies because of MFA. We see it work most of the time, but not always. So I just wanted to plant the seed, make sure that that's a focus point, that if we put MFA requirements on conditional access on Microsoft 365, that OneDrive knows what to do with it.
Yeah. Guy or Kayla, I saw you just come off mute.
Oh, go ahead, Guy, if you want.
Yeah, so we support MFA, but I'd love to kind of better understand the scenario if you're running into issues so we can investigate and maybe there's a gap that we're not aware of.
Yeah, sure. I'll let you know directly.
Okay.
Next up, Anne.
Hello. Yeah, I'm definitely more curious about this removing the sync button thing. I'm desperately looking around on the web for anything with public information about it and not seeing it. So anything more you can share about it, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I just posted an office hour session we did in June that has a lot more details on the add to OneDrive functionality, which will replace the sync button. So definitely encourage everyone, if you didn't attend that, take a look. Kayla and Leisha did a great job. That's the key thing I would point you to start in terms of looking at Add to OneDrive as the functionality that will replace it.
Great, thank you.
All right, John, you're up next.
Yeah, I actually have two points here. So I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but we've had it happen 3 times now. We've opened tickets with Microsoft, and they basically tell us that our users are insane and they don't know what they're talking about. We have folders that just get emptied out in SharePoint. The common thread is that we have users that are using either sync or add shortcut. We've had the problem both ways, where they are syncing far too many files. They're some of them over the 300,000, some of them only 80 or 90,000, but still a lot of files. And the folders just are empty one day. And we go and look, and of course, these are sites that people don't access all the time. So they could have been empty for a month before people notice them, or they could have been emptied 30 seconds ago. We don't know. In a couple of the situations, the folder icon has the new glint that indicates the folder just got created. And we find that it's created by a person that, although they have access to that area, they have nothing to do with it, right? They haven't actually worked in there. So it's like the sync client is doing something really weird, and it's getting problematic. I mean, we've had this happen 3 different occasions. We've opened the tickets with Microsoft, and they basically say, well, we don't see anything in the logs. There's nothing in the recycle bin. Sorry, you're just out of luck, right? And that's not a reasonable answer to people who have lost, thousands of files in some cases, and no way of being able to retrieve them. Has anybody else experienced that? I saw some thumbs up and whatnot as I was talking, so it sounds like a thing that maybe I'm not as insane as I sound.
Yeah, I'll say it's not the experience we want you to have. If you can, do you have any of the previous support tickets, the numbers handy by chance?
I will get those to you. I've gotten all of your. I'm gonna spam everybody that's in here as an organizer with a recap of what I just said. I was writing it up, and I thought, since we're to the end and nobody's talking, I'll talk. But
if you can reach out to Kayla and I on those, because that's definitely not expected. And I saw some other comments in the chat. If you've also experienced anything like that, please reach out so that we can figure out what's going on in your scenario.
Just an offer of advice, by any chance, are you users on virtual machine or virtual desktop? Because this happens a lot with Citrix and even with Azure virtual machines, especially for non-persistent ones. We found they were a big contributor to these issues. By far, the biggest one.
Yeah, that's not the case in our situation, but others may have different answers. So,
yeah. So please reach out to Gaia, Kayla, and Vishal is also in the chat as well. And we'll make sure we connect with you, understand what's going on, and work with the support team as well to make sure you guys have a better experience here too. So yeah, thank you for flagging that, and we'll do better. Okay, we've got 4 hands and 4 minutes. Nikolai.
Yes, just the last one. For the last couple of office hours, we've been hearing talk about improving the manager offboarding, the offboarding process, and now I think it's very on point, especially with the unlicensed OneDrive account situation. Our ones doesn't deviate much. I mean, they get an automated message. You have 30 days to resolve anything, but we find that sites are being ignored by the bulk by managers, or there's no action that they can quickly take. And I remember somebody saying here a couple of office hours ago, there's works on improving that process. Is there anything that you can share with us, or is it still on the roadmap?
There should be a message center post available. I don't have the ID handy, unfortunately, that talks about it a little bit. This will also get talked about during the OneDrive event on October 8th, and it'll be included in the blogs that come out of that as well. So more to share on this very, very soon, and we'll look to bring this to office hours once there's more information available publicly as well.
Okay, and cool. Just to To confirm, this meeting is being recorded, right? I can share this meeting with other people. Okay, so good.
Yeah,
thank you.
meeting is recorded. It'll be available on the M365 community YouTube channel. I dropped the playlist and the link to a previous one below as well. Okay, 2 minutes, 2 questions. Matthew.
Yeah, mine is a comment to John. I work at Trinity Health. We have similar issues to what you're experiencing. One of the things that we've actually found is because users are trying to sync down more than 300,000 items at a time, a lot of times when they're working with File Explorer, you'll get a user who doesn't understand the sync client, and they accidentally move content from one location to another location. They'll click on it, it'll start moving, realize that it's starting to move, and then they'll stop it. What we've noticed with it for us specifically is when you do a move like that, it creates the folder structure in the new environment and starts copying the content over. And then it deletes the content out of those folders. And when they realize what's going on and they hit cancel on it, it cancels it, but the folder structure stays in the original location and it is empty. We've actually had about a dozen, maybe 2 dozen tickets on this same issue. We've talked to Microsoft about it on a couple occasions. They've kind of explained that to us. We actually have one that's going on right now with a user that David, who set a call earlier on it, who's on my works with me. He has a ticket he's working with. Same type of situation. So might want to check there and see if somebody accidentally moved the content and then canceled it in the middle of the move because of the fact that, and when they canceled it, the folder structure would still be there and be empty, but the contents has already moved to the new location. So just kind of, and if you want to touch base with me afterwards or something, I can touch base with you afterwards and stuff. Because like I said, we've had a couple dozen of these happen to us over the course of the last 6 months.
We did actually have one of those that we found. So that is a thing that we've looked for. The thing that's frustrating is when I go look at the audit logs for that site, none of that activity even shows up, right? It doesn't show the file created, deleted, moved, anything else. The audit logs are totally empty.
That's how ours were too. We've opened a number of tickets on it as well where nothing shows up. Microsoft is like, and we've actually kind of looked into it a little bit ourselves and dove into it and have found that people have actually moved it. And that's our own, not that we've actually seen them move it, but that's our solution to it, is because we'll find the entire structure and all the files in a different location, but the old structure is there. And based on talking to contacts that we have at Microsoft, that's what they said they think is going on, but nothing's been seen in the logs or anything. So.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna grab your. Actually, I can't see your link. I'm gonna drop my. Yeah.
Yep, drop it in the thing and we can chat. I'll send you my stuff as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you both. Tara, let's see if we can tackle your question if it's a quick one. For folks who are dropping because we're at time, make sure you register for next month's office hours at aka.ms/OneDrive Office Hours. There's a link in the chat as well. Thank you all for joining. But Tara, if you have a couple more minutes, happy to stick around to see if we can answer your question.
Okay, yeah, thanks. It was going along with what the last guy had said. Like a lot of our clients use the sync feature from SharePoint to have all their folders available in File Explorer instead of just using the straight web interface. And I heard others asking about the sync, that it's going away and stuff. But a lot of people are thinking like OneDrive's personal to you until you share it, and SharePoint's for the company files and things like that. And when we're having like them doing the OneDrive, like save to OneDrive thing, it's causing confusion because people will delete their folders out of SharePoint from there. Even though the warning pops up, they don't realize it's taking away other people's access to SharePoint folders because they think it's like their personal OneDrive folders. So I was wondering if you guys have any resources and things around that to like kind of help people overcome saving stuff in the wrong spots and deleting things on accident. We have a lot of tickets where people will delete stuff out of their what they think is their personal OneDrive stuff, and it's really like the SharePoint folders for everyone.
Yeah, Guy, did you want to take that one?
Yeah, that's good feedback. We have invested in some in-product delete education, like you mentioned, but it sounds like people aren't necessarily reading that or understanding it. That's an area we want to improve. So that's really good feedback for us to discuss within the team as part in the context of add shortcut to OneDrive as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe if it could even be like a different color or something, so people would like, or there would be like more of a notice. Like the icon is really small, so people can't really always tell that it's like something different, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's great feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. All right. With that, we'll close off this month's edition of the OneDrive Office Hours. Again, thank you all for joining, and make sure you register for the OneDrive event, and we'll see you all there. Have a good rest of your day.